Before you start Lesson 16, make sure you complete Test D, and that one's on reducing fractions. I can't stress to you enough how important it is to be able to be really, really good at reducing fractions. Now, Lesson 16 is about the U.S. customary system, and that's just an American system for weights, lengths, and liquid measures. A lot of these values you're probably really familiar with already. It's important for you to memorize all of these. One good reason is because in the Bible, in Proverbs 11:1, it says that the Lord abhors dishonest scales, but accurate weights are His delight. So if you know these different measures very well, then you're not likely to be dishonest or give an incorrect value to somebody. Whether you're doing it deliberately or not, if you're wrong, you're wrong. And if you tell somebody 1 pound is 12 ounces instead of 16 ounces, you're still wrong whether you're being honest or not. I've said before that mathematics is a tool to help you study God's creation and to be able to know Him better by studying His creation. And it's also a way that we interact with other people. You go to the gas station, you get a certain number of gallons of gas. You go to the grocery store, you get a certain number of pounds of produce. You go to the hardware store and you measure out a certain length of rope to buy. So it'll be really good if you memorize all of these different relationships, all these different measures that we have here on the board. And these are also in Lesson 16 in the book. Why don't you go ahead and pause the CD and just take a few minutes to try to memorize these, and you might want to do that every day for the next few days until you get them all down really well. And just cover up one side of the equal sign and see if you can get the other side right. Cover up the one or the value that's not equal to 1, like on weight. Cover up the 16 ounce side and you'll say, well, 1 pound is 16 ounces. Cover up the 2,000 pound side and say 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Get all of these different weights, lengths, and measures memorized. Look at practice problem A. The question is, how many pints are in a gallon? Well, let's just think about it. If there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon, and there are 2 pints in 1 quart, that means we would do 2 times 4 is equal to 8 pints. We'll just do the abbreviation for pint. Now, it's really important that you put your units on your answers on these problems. Anytime you're dealing with any of these measures like this, it's real important to put the units down. Let's try another one. How many inches in a yard? Well, let's just look at that. If there's 12 inches in a foot, and then there's 3 feet in a yard, we can kind of make an equal group problem there. Groups of 12, 3 groups of 12. And we'd have 3 times 12, you can just do that in your head, 36, don't forget the units, inches, 36 inches. Now, there's also the metric system, also called the international system. We're not really working with that right now, but that's like when you're dealing with centimeters and meters and kilometers and kilograms and grams, things like that. Liters. We'll talk about the metric system more in Lesson 32. Now, we were talking about dishonest weights and measures a little while ago, and a lot of times in fishing stories can be stretched a little bit. The truth is stretched. People get excited and they start saying something really weighs more than it does. And look at this example. The bass weighed 7 pounds, 6 ounces. Is that closer to 7 pounds or to 8 pounds? Well, just think about it. How many ounces are in a pound? Aren't there 16 ounces in a pound? So halfway would be 8 ounces. 7 pounds, 6 ounces is closer to 7 pounds than it is to 8 pounds. Let's do a few problems. They're just addition problems and multiplication that have units as well, measurement units on them. Remember, we always have to have the units in our answer too on these kinds of problems. So look at D. You just add the fractions together there, 1/7 and 6/7. So you add the fractions just like you always do. Add the numerators together and you get 7 over 7, or just 1 foot. Got to have the units though. On these problems, the unit, having the correct units, is half of your answer. The other half is getting the number part right. That's how important it is to write them down. Now on E, those are degrees Fahrenheit. Just to add the numbers together, 0 and 49 would just equal 49. The units, we would say, are degrees Fahrenheit. And then F, anytime you have something inside parentheses, you should do that first. So we should add the 4 and the 5 together first. That would be 9. And then we multiply by the 3 on the outside. 9 times 3 is 27 quarts. So that's a rule we learned in one of our first lessons that we did. Anything on the inside of the parentheses, you do that first, then do the other part second. Added first, then we multiplied by 3. There's no times symbol there, but you just know when there's a number outside the parentheses, nothing, not like a plus or minus sign in between it and the parentheses. You're multiplying there. Memorize those units of liquid measure, the weight measures, and the length measures, and make sure you get those down and memorized well. You'll be using those values a lot in the rest of your high school math, and you use them a lot in life as well. Okay, well that's all for lesson 16.